again.
Welcome back to the Reverbium podcast. I am your host Jimmy, and by my side, but not by my side because he's in a different part of the city, I have Shaun.
Hello there.
So, today's...
You remembered for
I
once.
did an actual intro. You should be proud of me, I'm not going to lie.
Well, you're a pro now.
Exactly. Today's podcast, or short episode of a podcast, or however long this goes, because I really don't know, we're going to be discussing Pokemon Sword and Shield and its DLC releases, namely the Crown Tundra, which came out recently, about a week or two ago. I don't remember the exact date. Do you remember the exact date?
The 23rd of October.
The 23rd of October.
I'm amazed I remembered that.
I am amazed you remembered that as well.
Actually, I should... There's a reason I should remember that, actually, so I'm It said, carry on, this one. I should have remembered that.
But we've both completed Sword and Shield. Me recently, Shaun a while ago. But it's a game we still play.
Because some of us are true fans and get it when it first comes out.
I didn't have a Nintendo Switch at the time. I only got
some
one
of us
recently.
are true fans and have the console.
Some of us are poor, Shaun. Think of the poverty.
Get a job.
That's true. You know, it's true.
Stop making internet videos that nobody's going to listen to and get an actual job.
Ouch. This journalism degree isn't going very far. But yeah, we're gonna just talk about maybe our base opinions on the main game first, and we'll work our way up to Crown Tundra. So, how did you enjoy the base game originally?
I really enjoyed it, if I'm honest. Obviously, it's taken the same route as a lot of the Pokemon games recently, where they are very hand-holding. Because they kept the feature of wet before you use a move. It tells you if it's super effective, not effective, anything like that.
I don't mind that. It's not a big deal, to be honest, to me.
It's not a huge deal, but I also think it's just a simple thing of the game for that. It surely can't be difficult just to implement like a difficulty slider.
Oh yeah,
that's my the issue I really have with the games.
They should give
it
the
has been an issue with the few. Yeah, like it shouldn't be too difficult to do because they've shown they can do progressive leveling up in the game because they did it with the wild area, that the levels of the Pokemon around you change as you get badges.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not quite sure why they couldn't just do that with the entire game of just leveling. Say you set it to hard and everything you come across is 10 levels higher than what it would be at normal setting or something like that.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of the game just screams to me that they built this game just for competitive, although they didn't perfect competitive. The easier leveling up so you can work on your Pokemon, showing the types of what down if they're super effective against a Pokemon, so it teaches you more about typings. I feel like a lot of that is like, yeah, we want people to play more competitive, so this is what we're going with. But yeah, there are a lot of I'm not gonna say when I first started the game, I put off playing it for a while. I wasn't like super interested in it, and then I just sat there and played it through, and I still, by the end of it, was a bit like, a lot of the towns are empty. There's nothing really there. There's not a lot of trainer battles. Like if you go around a corner in one of the old games, you're in a battle. If you go around the corner here, you might get one battle, and then half the route later you might get another battle. But I feel like the focus in this game is catching Pokemon, which is where it shines. Because my most enjoyable part of the main game was trying to complete the Pokedex and just going around the wild area, leveling up my Pokemon to evolve, catching the Pokemon that by weather and stuff like that. And that's what I really enjoyed about the game.
I understand this is the first game I've actually completed a Pokedex on, but I don't know if that's just a case of it is easier to do that in this game because you can see what you're going to encounter. You're then not having to spend hours in the same patch of grass attempting to get a 1% catch rate Pokemon just to appear. Is that you can just keep moving around and leaving the area, coming back until that 1% shows up.
Well, I mean,
But I also think the lack of battles probably comes into the fact that you have the wild area that doesn't have any trainer battles in it. So a large portion of the map is taken up by this area where there aren't trainer battles.
Yeah. Well,
which obviously is something I would have liked to have been more, but I think it's just because they wanted to show off this wild area and have that just about showcasing the Pokemon in the overworld or anything. They didn't want to include that.
Well, it's the first step towards an open world Pokemon game. They tried, like, it's like Breath of the Wild, but really, really dumbed down. And they could have done Breath of the Wild Pokemon version. Like, it wouldn't have been. I mean, it would have been hard, obviously, but it wouldn't have been that much of a challenge because they have the basis from Breath of the Wild. They could do a world like that, populated with trainers, Pokemon roaming free. Like certain events happen if you go to a certain place. They could just do the gyms in any order. We've had the discussion before about how we'd make our perfect Pokemon game, so I won't go into detail on that. If you want to listen to that, I'm pretty sure it was episode 2 or 3 of the podcast. Whatever the Pokemon was earlier on. But it is a step in the right direction in terms of game design in the open world aspect, but maybe they should up the difficulty for future installments as well, because they need to remember their audience now. While they still appeal to kids, and they will still appeal to kids, a lot of the audience are older fans.
So they are older ones that have played them since they were younger and continue to play them because they enjoy the games.
Yeah.
But a lot of them, there's a large group of people, I think, that don't play the story for the story. They play it to get to the point where they can then play competitive battles. So there is actually a challenge there.
Yeah. Well, I kind of wanted to avoid spoilers really in this podcast, but I will say,
spoilers. The game's been out for a year.
People still complain, Shaun.
I don't care.
But
people need to watch it to complain.
True. But the climax of the game, where you fight like the legendary and have like the battle against the main villain, that was one of the best moments in a Pokemon game for me. The music was great. The legendary fight was unique, something that hasn't been really done before in a Pokemon game. Because a lot of the Pokemon games are just like, oh, the legendary's here. You just catch it with a Pokeball if you want. But this one was, you have to actually fight this legendary twice. One of them's a special battle. Like you get help from elsewhere, and it's a lot more fun. The music's great throughout the whole segment. Yeah,
I think it was also a bit nice that if you were able to avoid spoilers, obviously you would tease the legendary of the dog of the version you chose, but then that wasn't actually the main game legendary.
I actually,
it was something different.
I actually did somehow avoid that. I've avoided a lot of spoilers with this game, thankfully. But yeah, I was pleasantly surprised, even though I don't really care for the actual main legendary. he's a cool Pokemon, but yeah. So I think that's, unless you've got anything else to say about the.
Well, I think the main thing is that what are your thoughts on Dynamaxing and Gigantamax forms? So obviously it's a new thing they've brought into the game, something that they've done in the past couple of generations now. Of instead of just bringing in new Pokemon, is now new forms of Pokemon. So we had Mega Evolution in X and Y, and a Mega Ruby Alpha Sapphire. We had the Z moves in Sun and Moon, Ultra Sun and Moon, and obviously now we have Dynamaxing. Obviously, you haven't played a huge amount of it. We're not doing competitive stuff, won't have much of a say on that. But
Yeah.
just in general, what are your thoughts on Dynamaxing? Do you prefer it to the other
Um,
things they've introduced, or
it's kind of a mid-range one for me because I thought Z moves were terrible. Um,
I have to agree,
I
I was not a fan of Emus.
I really liked Mega Evolution and the and Dynamaxing and Gigantamaxing kind of it's like the mid of them. Like it's some Pokemon have a sort of different form, like Mega Evolution, but they also have like their special moves, and it's not unique really. If I with it's hard to explain, but with Mega Evolution, each Pokemon was kind of unique. With Dynamaxing, it's like, oh, this Pokemon's now a big boy, but he can use the exact same special move as um, a Pokemon that has the same type move that is Dynamax, and that's sort of. I'm not saying it's bad. I think I actually really enjoy it, and I like how it's used in
Well,
big battles.
that's not true
What do
because
you mean?
there are some Pokemon. So, like the original starters, they get their own moves. So you
Yeah,
have
yeah,
Blastoise with Max Cannonade that gets its own move that another Pokemon doesn't get. So
yeah. But that was DLC. That was for the DLC though, wasn't it?
true,
Yeah,
true.
like I'm talking just base game Dynamaxing.
Okay, okay.
It's it was at a base level, but I'm saying it's evolved and it's good, but I still prefer Mega Evolution, and I'm sad they didn't really give it a proper run. Like, I feel like they introduce these ideas, people like them or hate them or whatever, and then they'll just be like, okay, this next generation we're going to do something completely different and ignore that from happening. Like it just never happened. um, it would have been nice to have like a bit of a mix of both. Like you can't Dynamax unless you're in certain areas, but there are certain Mega Stones you can use to do Mega Evolutions outside of Dynamaxed areas or something like that. They could have been fun with it, done something fun. It's a Pokemon game. They're meant to be fun, but they chose what they did, and I mean, Dynamaxing is it's unique and it's part of the story of the game. So I'm fine with it. It's not my favorite thing in the world, but I do enjoy it when it comes to like the big gym battles and the big intense moments where you're about to destroy this person's gym because it's too easy, but you decide to Dynamax anyway just to gloat. Um,
So personally, I really like the Dynamaxing.
mm,
I really liked Megas when they came out, and I still do. I think they're a great feature. Um, but again, this probably comes into more to do with the competitive side of it that you don't really get in the story because again,
hmm
they're quite easy that you don't have to think about it too much. But I like the fact that any Pokemon can do it.
Yeah,
Obviously, there's some Pokemon that get a different form, which is nice, which changes it. But I also because of that competitive nature, because whereas Megas there were so few Pokemon that could, you were limited on when you could use it. Whereas
hmm
when you have Dynamaxing, and this is where the competitive part comes into it, is that you go into a battle saying like your VGC rules for your double battling of that any one of your four could do it. So then it's more tactical. Then
yeah,
it's not just a case of if somebody, say, if you're doing it in X and Y or Alpha Sapphire, somebody brings a Metagross, you're like, oh, I know they're going to be the Mega one, so this is how I'm going to deal with it. Whereas if you're in a battle now, it's a case of, okay, they're bringing these Pokemon, but which one is he going to Dynamax? Do I need to hold off so that I can do mine to counter it? Do I do mine early to try and get rid of it before he can? And also for that, it just brings another dynamic to it that I quite like. That it's no longer, or it was never simple in the first place because there is a lot of tactics to competitive battling anyway, but it just adds something that bit extra that I really enjoy.
yeah. I can get that. Um, we'll move away from the main game then, and we'll talk about the DLC. I think Isle of Armor will be quick, because it was simple. I really liked the open world map. It didn't take too long. Um, I didn't even get bored of the Diglett stuff. I didn't even mind it. I just stuck on a YouTube video and happily went around, caught a few Pokemon, Didn't take too long. The most annoying part of the DLC is trying to get all the watts for the upgrades and stuff in the dojo, but I mean, I still haven't done that, but it's annoying that it's locked behind hours and hours and hours of grinding if you really have the patience to do that, but it's not like a big deal. But the game was fun. The Kubfu and Urshifu aspect was interesting. I know they did more with Crown Tundra, as in like they introduced legendary, like all the old legendaries. But I wish they'd sort of done half in Isle of Armor and half in Crown Tundra, so it wasn't just here's a million legendaries thrown at you at once. It was more
But
you have to play this.
they've
DLC.
always done that with Pokemon games. So is that normally it's not DLC; it's an extra game where they go, "Okay, this is the game. Here's them all," or that not that here's a way you can obtain them all.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of see it coming.
But
the main thing,
the problem with that was that the DLCs were introduced as part 1 and part 2, so it was like it's they're I know they're not their own games, but it should have been like part 1 has this set of legendaries and part 2 has this set, but you know, they did what they did. I'll let you continue anyway.
so the one thing I really liked is that they brought back the fact that your Pokemon could follow you in the Isle of Armor, which then just annoyed me more. That why didn't they do it in the main game?
Oh, they should have done it in main game.
It was
The wild
they could have
area was
easily done
perfect,
it in
but...
yeah. So I really like that. I was a bit sad that obviously they had this whole thing of, oh, it's this new area of the region that's like slightly kept away, and obviously you don't really know about it until later on.
Mm-hmm.
They should have put more, or I felt they should have put more Galarian forms there. So you had the Slowbro, but
yeah,
it was kind of like
they should have been more inventive with it. Be a bit more creative.
they could have just added a few, not a huge amount, but just like maybe 2-3 more evolution lines, just so there was something different in there rather than okay, I know they actually did it to introduce all the old Pokemon that they didn't put in straight away, so they had more time to work on like getting them into the game. But I just feel like they could have easily done more like actual Galarian forms, so you have that difference.
If you had an option to skip one of the DLCs, it would be Isle of Armor. Like, if you were like someone couldn't afford to buy both, some kid couldn't afford it or whatever, and they only had to choose one.
I mean, that's besides the point, because if you buy it, you get both anyway. But
no, but you can buy them separately. I'm pretty sure, can't you?
Nope.
I swear you can. Okay, never mind. I'll take it.
You pay the money, you get both of them. It's because you had to pay a different, so one for each version of the game.
I thought like I bought this like season pass bundle thing, but I thought you could buy it separately in the store. But if I'm wrong,
I thought it was a case of that you bought the DLC and you got both, but you had to buy a separate DLC for each version of the game if you had both versions. So there was a sword version, there's a shield version, because there are different Pokemon in each. When you get to Crown Tundra, there is different Pokemon you can get in each game.
Mm-hmm. Well, either way, if you could only pick one in some sort of theoretical thing, you wouldn't be picking Isle of Armor.
Oh no.
So we'll move straight on to Crown Tundra, because it's the last thing we're going to talk about, and it's the main thing we wanted to really talk about. I haven't completed it fully. I'm just sort of walking around, going everywhere, catching Pokemon, and trying out some of the max raid adventures. And I, since I've got less to talk about, I'll just say what I've got to say now. The map isn't as good as Isle of Armor for me. I don't, I don't think it's as I liked the open ocean feel. Like the difference is there. This is just snowy lands, a few caves, which is cool. It's still cool, but I don't think it's as good. The story seems okay at the moment, but it's not the main focus. The new legendaries seem pretty cool. I like the Galarian forms of the birds. I'm not too bothered about the horses that much, but I'm sure there
You
are.
would if you played competitively because they are very strong for that.
Yeah, yeah. But I'm talking like mainly the forms they take. But the main selling point of this DLC is the max raid adventures. I'd probably say. I think you'd probably agree there as well.
Yeah.
The increased shiny rates that I have yet to see, but hopefully they come around some point. I've only done a few max raids anyway, but it's just a fun little side thing that is how you get the legendaries in not the legendaries for this DLC, but the old legendaries like Suicune, Rayquaza, all of that. They're all available through max raids, and you can pick. You get to catch 4 Pokemon, and you pick out of one of them which one you want to keep. And as long as you don't, if you are shiny hunting, as long as you don't keep the legendary, if it's not a shiny, you can go back and eventually find that legendary and uh, keep redoing it until you get it as a shiny, however long that
So
takes.
in simple forms, the legendaries are a one-time catch. You can encounter them as many times, but you can capture them once, and they are 100% catch rate. Every single Pokemon is 100% catch rate,
Yeah,
which makes life a lot easier
so
because
stack up on normal
that would be
Pokemon.
an absolute nightmare
Oh, I'd
if
hate
you
it.
were borrowing Pokemon. So you couldn't use your own high, really high ones. You go through the work of defeating four raid battles to then not catch it.
Yeah, but that is the selling point of this DLC. I'll let you give your opinion and everything now. Go ahead. Floor is
Um,
yours.
Again, I haven't fully done everything.
Mm-hmm.
I like it again. They bring back the fact that your Pokemon can follow you, which
Mm-hmm.
again, why didn't they do it in the original game? Um, I like the concept of the Matchmade battles, and although obviously I'm just saying about the borrowing Pokemon, I do like that
Yeah.
format because it increases like replayability.
Mm-hmm.
Because otherwise, every time you're going to go in with the exact same Pokemon, you can just bring in your level 100 perfect whatever and know that you're just going to take it down easily, which takes the replayability out of it. Everything. It's great for shiny hunters because of those increased rates. So you if you have the shiny charm, it's a 1 in 100 chance of being a shiny. Normally, base it's 1 in 4,800, I believe, around there.
Yeah.
So massively reduced. Then obviously, if you're defeating all the raids and all four, it technically brings it down to a 1 in 25 chance of one of them being a shiny. So it's great for shiny hunting because they did really mess that up in these games. So you have your usual, just your normal encounter that you can get them. You have your normal Masuda method of using one Pokemon from a different country.
Mm-hmm.
To bring that way, it brings it down. Obviously, with the shiny charm, they were supposed to have this system of that was kind of like in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, where the more if you had a chain of encountering
Yeah.
Pokemon, you would have an increased chance, and they just fucked it. Where it was just broken. It does happen in the game, but it only happens like 3% of the time, so it almost never happens, and they just never fixed it. And I think this is just for people who do use the games to shiny hunt. It's just brought them a new way and kept it more interesting for them. Well,
Yeah.
a great way to do it.
So funnily enough, the only shiny I've actually encountered properly, like without trading, or Pokemon Home, was that shiny Gorgeist that I got in the raid. The one I told you about that I didn't even realize was a shiny until I
So
caught it.
you literally had a 2% chance of getting, just 2% chance of encountering, not even then catching.
I think it was perfect stats as well. I think they're all in
Uh,
max raids, aren't they? Or
they
really good.
5-star max rates have at least 4 perfect dives, I believe.
Okay. Yeah.
It depends on the star rating of the raid, and the shiny ones had to be in 5-star raids. So you're going to get a very good Pokemon if you are able to, or if you were able to encounter it. I believe I've taken it off now because it's no longer Halloween.
Yeah, but they'll do something. I bet they'll do a Christmas event as well.
So that they had done it before. They did it with Shiny Magikarp at one point, and I believe they also did it with Wailord, where they had a fixed shiny in a den, so you had like a 1% chance of it being a shiny Wailord.
Oh, fair enough.
So it's something they have done it semi. They have done it semi often.
Yeah.
And obviously, I'm assuming that they'll continue to do that. They have quite a good rotation of the raid dens. Actually, that probably like at least once a month.
I'm
That
surprised
they'll
they
roll
haven't.
out new Pokemon in the dens.
I'm surprised they haven't really done anything big for Crown Tundra's release. Like you'd expect them maybe to bring out some sort of mystery gift or something.
Well, I don't know if it's just because everyone was getting all the legendaries anyway. They thought we're giving them a lot, so we might hold back a bit. Because obviously, when they brought the Isle of Armor out, they did a max raid where if I can't remember what it was, but this very high number of people defeat this Zeraora raid, everybody who had defeated it would then get this level 100 shiny Zeraora,
which I sadly missed,
and which was done very quickly.
Yeah. And you can't get one on GTS because it's a special Pokemon that you can't trade. So
see, that's why I should have bought the games earlier.
Look, right. Yes, probably true. So far, I'm enjoying Crown Tundra. I'm probably going to play it really slowly because it's going to take time to go through these max raids anyway. But if you're shiny hunting, it's going to take months, and I just sort of play it in my spare time now. So I'll just like play it when I don't know, I'm watching football or something, just so it's one of those more repetitive things that you just go through. But yeah, I think it's good. The whole game as a whole is a good start for next generation Pokemon, but they have a lot they need to do to improve. Don't know. Do you have anything else to say on the matter?
So personally, I really like them. I really enjoyed playing them.
Mm-hmm.
It's difficult because I'm definitely put it up there with one of my favorite games, which I think they're probably a big split because a lot of people will try to go, like, have the nostalgia, go, oh no, it's not as good as the older ones, blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
But I like what they did. I like the wild area. I like the Dynamax they brought in. I thought it was enjoyable to play through, and I think it just helps obviously because it's newer. It's a nicer looking game, although it's not as nice as people wanted when it first came out. It's still a nice looking game, and yeah, I think it's personally for me. I think it's one of the best they've put out.
Fair enough. Well, that's it for this podcast. The next podcast we do will be our most anticipated games for next generation and why they are Bugsnax and Bugsnax alone. So we will see you then.